I want to welcome everyone again to another Zoom shir of our Kehillah B'nai Matisyahu, which I am the Rabbi. My name is Yaakov Klass. The producer of this program is Brian Katz, one of our Chasha members. Not only is a Chasha a member, but he is also one of our three resident Kohanim. Actually, at times we have as many as 5 Kohanim. So we so appreciate our Kohanim who give us constant bracha, and that bracha carries us through from Yontif to Yontif. And actually, the bracha by the mere presence, the presence of the Kohanim who received the first Aliyah. As I've mentioned, I believe I mentioned, we have a caste system, just like in India. In India, they have, I forgot the names of the other castes, but the ones at the top are the Brahmins. The Katz brothers, I could say, are the Brahmins of our shul. And so are the other Kohanim. We have great Kohanim. And then there come the Leviim, of which our Gabbai, I would call him our president pro tempore, Simchi Goldstein is a Levi. That's another one. And then comes what's his name? As the famous one, the famous entertainer. The famous entertainer. He has the bumper stickers. Chbina Pashat Yid. Lipa Schmelzer. We are from the Yisraelim. We're the Pashat Yidden. Baruch Hashem. So we have a Kehillah which comprises all three, and Baruch Hashem. We are also connecting with the Igod Harabanim, of which I happen to be the chairman of the Nesius of the Igod, the Rabbinical Alliance of America. We're connecting with the Kailul Eishel Avram in Monsey, where I am Shalom Meshiv and a Magid Shia, and we're connecting with one of my favorite occupation, being the Torah editor at the Jewish Press. And in fact, tonight's shir is going to be unique because I wrote this particular shir and my column this week all connected basically to the Seif HaTorah and the Haschalas HaTorah, which means Sefer Dvarim and connecting into Sefer Breishis. It's interesting. We are now post the Yom Noraim, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippurim. We are post the Yom Tovim, Sukkot, Simchas Torah, Shmini Atzeres, Simchas Torah. We're post Elul. All of this, which is the period that we are judged, and we know that on Shmini Atzeres, the whole world is judged on what? Regarding the amount of water that they will have. Without water, people cannot live. You'll see that all of the areas that really have a lack of water, areas that are desert, literally the name desert is because they are deserted. People cannot live in there's no habitation in such a place. The only thing that is there maybe is a nomadic type life where people move from area to area, but they can't stay long in areas where there are no water. And all of the water that we have, we are judged. We are judged regarding that on Shmini Atzeres. So this whole period from Elul until Shmini Atzeres is a period of judgment. We're constantly being judged. And what does a person do in order that he should have, as we say, v'seitiv lonu hachasima, that the Ribbon Shalom should give us, seal our judgment in a good manner, which means in a manner that is positive for us, what do? We pray. We daven to Hashem. And that's what we seek. Now the Gemara, it's interesting. The reader who sent me this question asks the following. He says, we know that Hashem knows the future. Hashem, as we referred to, we quoted numerous times from Rabbi Shavel, who refers to the Ribbon Shalom, the Shem Havaya, the literally the tetragrammaton. I think that's the term that's used. The Shem Havaya of the Ribbon Shalom, the name of 26 that equals 26, the number 26, which is Haya Hayve V'yeh, which actually personifies Haya Hayve V'yeh, is the eternal Ribbon Shalom. And we said the Ribbon Shalom, his eternity, has no end, but guess what? It has no beginning. The Ribbon Shalom, there is no concept of time. We are time-based. Born, we are on a road to our death. A Pella. A little baby is born. This little child, he's born, and he's already on the road to death. He will live in Yetz Hashem if everything, he should be healthy, he will live till 120. 120. The proverbial 120 of Moshe Rabbeinu. He will live. That's the days. David HaMelech talks about the number 70 as being the days of man. But whatever it is, from the moment he's born, he's already timed. The clock, the clock is wound, and the clock is ticking. It keeps on ticking. So he asks the following. So the Ribbon Shalom knows the future. If he knows the future, he knows what will be our disposition. Will we be good? Will we be bad? So according to that, we're starting off the day after Yom Kippur. In fact, we mentioned it, the Ma'ariv after Yom Kippur. What is the first thing we do? We come to Shemona Esrei and we say, Slach lanu avinu ki chotanu mechal lanu makenu ki poshanu. What are we asking for? How did we sin? We were malachim, and I've mentioned this numerous times. We were angels. We're angels. We're free of sin. So how do we say that in that Shemona Esrei? So of course we gave one answer, that this is the matbeya shetavu chachomim. This is, so to say, this phraseology was the phraseology that was minted by our sages as the weekday tefillah. It doesn't matter when this weekday tefillah comes out. It's Shachris, Mincha, Ma'ariv. That is called the Amida, the Shemona Esrei, the Amida, the tefillah that we say standing. It's called the Amida of Yud Ches Brachas. We added on, obviously, one that was called the V'la Malshinem, so it actually comes out to 19. But this concept of the terminology, the phraseology that appears there, was minted by the sages for every one of our tefillahs, every single day of the year, chutz, except for those days that are the Yom Shabbos and the Yom Tovim. When we don't, because of Tircha de Tzibura, we say less. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippurim, we end up actually saying a lot more, because in each of the brachas that we say, the 7 brachas that we say, a lot of them are elongated. Elongated because that is the Inyan Hayom, has to do with the day, with the tshuva of the day, and it all, that text is part and parcel of the exchange that we make for the 18 brachas. So now the Rebbeinu Shalom knows what is going to happen to us. So since he knows what is going to happen, to us, then how can we possibly be faulted for anything we do wrong? The Rabbi Shalom knows that at the end of the day, Yaakov Klass will do this and this particular chet. So, why is it my sin? The Rabban Shalom knows I'm going to do it. So I mean, I have no bechira, I have no choice according to this. This is what the questioner asks, and on this we base this answer, which is also our Zoom share today. Now, interesting is the Gemara in Nida. The Gemara in Nida, actually it's towards the beginning of the Masechta, Daf Tes Zayin Amid Beis. The Gemara quotes in the name of Reb Chanina, "Hakol bidei shamayim chutz miyir shamayim." Everything is in the hands of heaven, which means in the Rabbanu Shalom's hands. Everything, except for one thing, Yira Shamayim. Fear of heaven itself is the only thing that the Rabbanu Shalom has no control over. We are the ones who control our own Yira Shamayim. Okay? Seems to be a little bit contradictory to the question, but let's see. This is what Reb Chanina says. Hakol bidei shamayim chutz miyir shamayim. He doesn't say it picking it out of his hat. He says it based on the following pasuk, which is an akeb. We just learned it not that many weeks ago. It's a pella. Va'ata Yisrael, ma Hashem Elokecha shayil me'imach ki im leyira es Hashem Elokecha lo leches b'chol drachav u'le'ahava oisai v'la'avoid es Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha. Appella. That now, O Israel, I'll translate to English, what does the Lord, the eternal Lord, your God, ask of you, but to fear the God and to go in his ways and to love him and to serve him, to serve the eternal Lord, your God, with all your heart and all your soul. That is so. From that we see that the Ribbon Shalom is asking us. He's asking us if he knows that we will. Why is he asking us? Since he's asking us that we should serve him, it means that Yira Shamayim is not in his hands. It's not in the hands of Shamayim, not in the hands of the Rabbani Shalom. Not in heaven's hand. Balaturim notes, Balaturim spectacular, Gematrius. Balaturim notes that there are 100 tevos in that pasuk. I counted actually 98, but there are a couple of chayloms, and Alan, you are a Balkriya. So Alan, I know, will bear me out. A number of chayloms which are actually part of the word, like shayel. There actually could be a vav there. For Jewish purposes, there could be a vav there. Eloi kecha, there could be a vav there too. So you can pick and choose. There might be one or two extra vavs, but basically there are 100 tevos that we can use for drasha. What is the drasha that we might get out of this? Even though it's what? That chayiv adam levarech meya brachos b'chol yom, as the Gemara learns. Gemara in Brachos learns this, that a person from this, the Rabban Shalom wants us to bless him 100 blessings, brachas a day. Now, of course, with the three Shemona Esrei, it makes it very easy. But what happens on Shabbos and Yom Tov when the number of brachas and Shemona Esrei diminish? So therefore, we eat our sudas, we make brachas on peiros, we find other things, and we don't lack for the opportunity to build up the Meir brachas. That was an aside. Now, interesting, Tosfos over there in Nida, so Tosfos asks a phenomenal kasha. Now, you know, Tosfos is always around to ask kashas. Rashi doesn't ask the kasha, but when you see Rashi, you know that Rashi is answering a kasha. Tosfos is on the next level. Rashi was on a level that Rashi, we were taught in yeshiva. Was fragt Rashi? What is Rashi asking? I don't see a question mark. No, what Rashi is saying is he's answering something that there was a question. Okay, Tosfos comes out with the question as well. Tosfos basically spoon feeds us. He makes it a lot easier. Okay, so Tosfos asks, Tosfos asks, 1 minute, you're saying Hakol b'yedei shamayim chutz mi'yirei shamayim, but I have another Gemara. I have a Gemara in Ksuvis, Daf Lamed Amud Aleph, and the Gemara over there says Hakol b'yedei shamayim chutz mitzinim upachem. Everything is in the hands of heaven, except for cold and heat, which means someone becoming ill from cold, which means in extreme cold or extreme heat. Those are two things that a person's reaction to them are not in heaven's hand. Those are us. So, which means everything else is in the Rebbeinu Shalom's hand, which means Yira Shamayim is in the hand of the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's the stira that Tosfos asks. So, of course, Tosfos answer, and the answer that they give is that we're talking about in our Gemara, which I refer to our Gemara as the Gemara Nida, we're talking about the behavior of a person. When it comes to the behavior of a person and his characteristics, by the way, a person's characteristics will determine the outcome of his behavior. If a person he's a real tough guy, a real tough one, then you know what? He'll be so tough that he won't allow the Rebbeinu Shalom into his life because he's a tough one. I did this all on my own. But if he has a soft behavior, if he's someone like Moshe Rabbeinu, who is Anav Mikol Adam, or at least he aspires to that, obviously no one can be like Moshe Rabbeinu, but he aspires to Moshe Rabbeinu's behavior, then he could attain that level of Yirei Shamayim, which means Hakol b'yedei shamayim chutz mi'yirei shamayim, regarding the behavior of a person, the characteristics of a person. Hakol b'yedei shamayim over there in Ksuvis, that's talking about a person's the body of the person. This is not the so to say the neshama of the person, the mind and the heart. We're talking about the opposite, about the physicality of the person. A person, whether he's going to be a strong person or a weak person, and it's in his hands to take care of himself. Which means if it's very cold out, only a fool. They are the polar bears who regularly, they go every year in the icy winter. And what do? They go in, I'm talking about the polar bears in Coney Island. Those people that live in Brooklyn, in New York, they know about those polar bears. Those are the people, a group of people that go into the frigid water in the middle of the winter. And believe me, I see people on a cold winter day, young people, by the way, who run outside without a coat, without a jacket. My doctor, my physician, my internist, he tells me that when his wife asks him to take out the garbage, guess what? The doctor has to take out the garbage also. So when he takes out the refuse or the trash, he, in the cold winter, he does not do so until he puts on a coat. That 1 minute that takes him to go from outside his door to where the trash is supposed to be stored, ready for pickup, that 1 minute, he says, that's the time that it could take for a cold to enter his body and literally become sick for who knows how many weeks. Okay, so a person has to take care. So a person, as far as cold and the way the Rabbanu Shalom set the world, we have the seasons. We have the 4 seasons that keep on revolving. We know that the Yom Tovim occur according to the seasons. Pesach occurs in springtime, and we have to make sure it occurs in springtime. Chazal figured out Hillel. Hillel, it was actually Hillel Hasheni when he created the perpetual calendar that we have. He made sure that all the Yom Tovim fall exactly in the seasons they're supposed to. So we have cold. We live with the cold. We have to live with it. We heat the house. We heat the car. We heat the shul. Wherever we are, we make sure that we have a proper amount of our temperature, the temperature that is commensurate with what is necessary for our bodies, for our well-being. And the same thing when we come to extreme heat. You come to extreme heat and you see a person, he walks out, and I've seen it. A chaver of mine, he said, unfortunately, after the Shaya, after the Holocaust, his father-in-law was someone who was always cold. He was cold on the hottest day in the summer. So what did he do? He put on a coat in the summer. Now, most of us, if we would put on a coat in the summer, in a way, we would also get sick. So there has to be a certain amount of seichel. An average person has to live with the seasons, live with the elements, and live and behave and dress accordingly. So this is something that is, everything else is bidei shamayim, is in heaven's hand, but dealing with the hot and dealing with the cold. Next. Now, actually, the questioner was probably referring, and that's what I say, to the pasuk in Bereshis. Wow. Adam and Chava, they're given one mitzvah, one single solitary mitzvah. What is that mitzvah? You can eat from everything in the Gan. There's nothing nothing is held back from you, except for the Eitz Hadas. The only thing you are not allowed to partake of is the Eitz Hadas. We know the Maisa with the Nochosh. We know what happened because Chava made a mistake. She told the Nochosh that we were told we can't eat it, we can't touch it. So the Nochosh, and by doing that, in her mind, she forgot that was not part of the tzivui. The tzivui was you're not allowed to eat it. You could touch it all you want. You could touch it. You could do whatever you want. But you can't eat from it. You can't take a fruit off of it and eat it. So what happened? The Nachash convinced her, touch it and nothing will happen. And she touched it and nothing happened. Of course, because she made that up. She didn't realize she made it up. She ate from that, and then Adam ate from it too. And that was the one Aveira that they had. And after that, it was decreed, Misa came to this world. And then the succeeding generations, they were the Yechidei Skula in every generation who were tzaddikim. But most Raiv the generation were Rishayim. They forgot the Ribbon Shalom. They slowly forgot their Messiah from Adam Harishon and Chava. They forgot that Messiah. And unfortunately they went wayward. So the Ribbon Shalom, Pasuk says, Vayar Hashem ki rabba ras ha'adam ba'aretz. The Ribbon Shalom saw that the wickedness on the earth was so great. V'chol yetza machsheves libay, and all of his thoughts, rak ra kol hayom. His thoughts are always evil on a daily basis. A person has constant evil thoughts. And then comes the next pasuk, Vayinachem Hashem ki osa es ha'adam. Hashem regretted having created man. Well, first of all, so he regrets because his thoughts are evil. But he created man. If he created man and his thoughts are evil, so you see that he created him with a bechira. He allowed him, he gave him choice. Everything is I control everything. I control the way the water, I mean, you can divert the water, true, you can irrigate, but the natural flow of the water, of the rivers, the clouds, global warming. If you believe that, come to me after Shabbos, and I will be glad to sell you the Brooklyn Bridge, the Queensboro Bridge, the Manhattan Bridge, the Williamsburg Bridge, the Verrazano Bridge, the Mario Cuomo Bridge, that's also known as the Tappan. I'll sell you all those bridges, okay, and you'll own them. Yeah, you believe that, okay? That's as much control that we have over global warming. It is a farce. It's not real, and for people to base themselves on this, to base their whole politics on this, is ridiculous. It's narishkeit. So the Ribbon Shalom regretted. Now, first of all, how do we understand the Ribbon Shalom? If he created us, why would he regret creating us? The Ribbon Shalom, it doesn't make sense. So what is Pshat? How do we understand this? So it's interesting. The Gemara in Chulin, the beginning of Gemara in Chulin, also Daf Zayin. So the Gemara brings in the name of Rab Chanina, also Rab Chanina, and it says Ein Adam Noikev be'etzboi milmata el inken goizrin boi milmala. A person does not literally hurt his finger, hurt his finger here on earth, unless it was decreed upon him in heaven. When you prick your finger on something, and stub your finger, anything you do, any small things, they pick the finger because that's like a small limb. Could be it's the smallest of the finger limbs of that one. You harmed it. I remember I had an incident closing my garage door. I actually got my finger stuck between, as the door closes, the ridges start to come together, the separations. That seems to be, according to Rab Chanina, that was decreed from Shemayim. Okay? Every one of man's steps are basically determined. So it would seem that man's destiny is beyond his control. He has no control. But then we find the other Gemara again, which we said was the fear of heaven is the only thing that is not in control. So it seems that whatever he is saying in brachas, he comes later on in Nida, okay? Because Nida is all the way at the end, so we see that he modified it because it's the same Rav Chanina, okay? So what the Gemara in Nida says is that a person, whether he is going to be tall, short, poor, rich, wise, foolish, fair-skinned, dark-skinned, all of that is min hashamayim. But Rasha, tzaddik for Rasha, that is not bidei shamayim. To be righteous or to be wicked, that's not from the shamayim. And again, we go back, the Gemara says, quotes back from our pasuk in Parshas Eikev, Ma Hashem Elokecha shel mimcha, me'imach. Okay? Now it's interesting that the Gemara in Nida on Daf Tes Zayin, okay, brings a machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish regarding marital relations. Reish Lakish rejects Rabbi Yochanan's use of the pasuk in Iyov, a pasuk in Iyov, where Iyov says, "Yavad yom ivoled boy, v'halayla ama hira gove." Lost be the day when I was born, and the night which said, there is a man-child conceived. That's a beautiful translation. To prove that one may not engage in marital relations by day. Okay? This is basically Rashi's interpretation. The translation follows Rashi. Reish Lakish would go according to Ibn Ezra. May the night when I was born be obliterated. If he happened to be born at night. So Reish Lakish, Rabbi Yochanan is saying basically that Yom Hivoled proves that a child should be conceived at night. A child is conceived at night, but Reish Lakish says no. May the night when I was born be obliterated means something else. If I was born at night, which means what does he use for that? How does he learn from that pasuk? That one who deviates from his ways is from another pasuk, is Baize Derachav Yomus, because he has to have a pasuk, because everyone agrees that there's a certain amount of tznius that's involved. Okay? So now the question is, the Gemara is, so what does he do with Rabbi Yochanan's pasuk? The pasuk in Iyov, what does he do with that pasuk? What does Reish Lakish use that pasuk for? So he says that the Malach HaMimuna Ala Heroya, the Malach, the angel who is in charge of conception, is called Laila. That's the word Laila in the pasuk. And he takes the embryonic droplet, the child, the child at its first formation, when literally the child is at the moment of conception, and he brings it before the Ribono Shel Olam, and he says in English, sovereign of the universe, what will be the fate of this droplet, of this little tiny bit of embryo? Shall it produce strong person, weak one, foolish one, rich one, poor one? And all of those, the Ribono Shel Olam answers, but he does not ask, and the Ribono Shel Olam does not answer whether he'll be a tzaddik or a rasha. Rambam in Hilchos Tshuva learns that intelligence and understanding are somewhat under the control of man. A person not only is tzaddik v'rasha under his control, whether he will be righteous or whether he will be wicked, somewhat, a little bit. There's a takeaway from as we said before, that whether a person will be wise or foolish, but there is some control of understanding and intelligence. And how does that come about? How is that? Because every person has the capability to build up his intelligence. Let's take a look at Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was a shepherd. Moshe Rabbeinu was a prince in the palace of Egypt, in the palace of Paro. What did he occupy himself with the whole day? I doubt whether Moshe Rabbeinu was occupied in any great scholarly pursuits, because he was a prince. A prince, as such, he had his royal duties, whatever they were. Maybe to go out among the people, to go, when they opened up a new bridge, to cut the ribbon, which is what the royalty in England do. In England and in Holland and in Spain and in Denmark and all these countries, that's what the royalty do. Okay? Ride in the chariot and wave to the people, wave to your subjects. And then he becomes king in Kush, and he was a wise judge of the people of Kush. Okay? So Moshe Rabbeinu, what was Moshe Rabbeinu? Was yet to be developed. At age 80, the Rabban Shem comes to him because he saw a certain characteristic of his. He saw a characteristic of empathy. Empathy, someone who cared for a small animal. The Rabban Shem says, this is the person who will be my leader, and take my people out. And take my Torah and give it to the people, and teach my people. What do you mean? Take someone who's a great scholar. Take his father, Amram. Amram was the Gadol Adar. It was acknowledged. The Medrash tells us. No, Moshe Rabbeinu, not the father, but his son. Wow. Moshe Rabbeinu was able to develop his characteristics at that point and build upon it, that he was able to attain the level that he spoke peh el peh in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He was able to speak face to face with the Ribono Shel Olam. A pillar, a phenomenal amount of capability that a person has. Yeravam ben Nevat, he was the first king of the seceding tribes. He was the first king of the Malchei Yisrael. Malchei Yisrael, after they seceded, when it split, Rechavam was the Melech of Yehuda and Binyamin, and the other 10 were ruled by Yeravam ben Nevat. Yeravam ben Nevat was obviously worthy. The Rabban Shem allowed him to become a king. Why? Because Yeravam had great possibilities. And you know what he did with those possibilities? I could bring a garbage can, and I'll tell you what he did with them. He just let them go down into the gutter, and he became a wicked person. So, possibilities, characteristics of a person, behavior, a person can build upon it, or a person can go down with it. So, it seems that this would be a little bit of a contradiction to Hakol B'Yedei Shamayim, Chutz Mi'Yirei Shamayim. And we see that Moshe Rabbeinu had the infinite Yirei Shamayim, right? And on the other hand, Yeravam ben Nevat had just the opposite, and yet the Rabban Shem gave him the Torah and gave him, and obviously the possibility that he should rise. So therefore, the reason why they explain that they quoting Reish Lakish in Saita, they quote Reish Lakish, and Reish Lakish says that normally a person would not sin to such a point. The only way he sins is when a ruach shtus, as they translate, a spirit of folly enters him. When that enters him, when he becomes a fool, that's the point when he can be either a tzaddik. He could go from being a tzaddik like Moshe Rabbeinu to being a rasha like Yerovim ben Nevat, and therefore that we can understand now the Rambam. The Rambam says that everyone has the ability. It's just that ruach shtus that comes upon the person. And now we understand better. Vayinachem Hashem ki asa es ha'adam. The Rabbanu Shalom regretted having created man. No, he didn't regret having created man. No, our pshat now is he regretted whenever man sins. The Rabbanu Shalom not only does a normal person, a normal good person who is basically on a good track, but once in a while he sins, what does he do afterwards? Afterwards, he regrets that he did it. The same thing with the Rabbanu Shalom. When he sees that his nivra, his creation, did something bad, which the Rabbanu Shalom gave him the choice, the Rabbanu Shalom regrets it. It bothers the Rabbanu Shalom, and he regrets that this person sinned. Not that he regrets the creation of man. He wanted man to continue. V'haraya, he takes next week's parsha, which we'll discuss then. So I just want to wish everyone, and again, I want to thank Brian Katz, our producer, who has produced a spectacular program, and I hope everyone should have a wonderful Shabbos Breishis, and it should be the start of many good things, literally the beginning, that will go, as we mentioned, I believe we mentioned that Chassam Sofer, which I still have not found. Someone will find it for me exactly where it is, and the Chassam Sofer wrote so much. May Ashpais Yorim Evyon, from going into the year of Tafshin Pei Aleph, Ashpais Yorim Evyon, the Rabbanu Shalom will bring us out of this pandemic and restore us, and in Yetz Hashem, everything will be good for Klal Yisrael. And I will stress, I'm going to do something, you know what, I want to do it. Make sure you vote. This is a very crucial election. I want to wish everyone again a good Shabbos. Thank you.
This is JMC, the Jewish Media Channel.